Hello and welcome to another episode of Tumorously Yours. We have a very special guest with us today. Please welcome Dr. Priya Parmar, Director of Operations at Indian Cancer Society, Delhi. Indian Cancer Society, or ICS, has been fighting cancer across India for more than 70 years now. They are a beacon of hope for thousands of underprivileged cancer patients in India. Dr. Priya has been with them for more than a decade now and has been instrumental in helping hundreds of people in their cancer journeys. Being a cancer survivor myself, I am absolutely in awe of you, Dr. Priya, and how much nobility you must have within you to see this disease day in and day out. Thank you so much for coming on Humorously Yours today.
Thank you, Tamanna, for inviting me, and thank you, Adanan.
We're really happy to have you over here.
So the first question to you, Dr. Priya, is that ICS was started in 1951, if I'm not wrong, and has been doing lots of great work for cancer awareness as well as helping underprivileged people who are affected by this disease. You joined them 11 years back, right? So
Yes.
how old were you then, and what made you join them? Why did you choose to get into this?
I was old when I joined them, and I've become older and hopefully a little bit wiser. What motivated me is when I realized that cancer is not something now very rare. There'll be someone in very close proximity to you who
Yeah.
has cancer. You have cancer in the family, you have cancer in the neighborhood, you have cancer in the city in which you live. And it is growing at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
So much so that newspapers are covering it. So the
Yeah.
mere fact that cancer is being talked about openly now shows that it is becoming a major menace.
Major menace.
Mm.
Why did you want to kind of get into something where, pardon me for saying this, but generally a lot of people around us choose careers which not necessarily are noble, right? I want to know what is the mindset of somebody who chooses to get into Indian Cancer Society.
You have heard of Maslow's pyramid,
Mm-hmm. The hierarchy of needs.
hierarchy of needs. When most of your needs are addressed and you start looking at ways of giving back to society, society gives
Mhm.
us so much. So
Yeah.
it's time for us to start giving. And when that realization hits you, it can hit you at any age, where you want to give back and feel good about what you're doing and try to do your bit for your countrymen. I think that's that motivation force that happens. And I belong to a defense family. I've
Ah,
grown up in a defense family where I've seen, my family members, everyone do things for society. And somewhere you say, enough is enough. You need to help, go out and help people. And you have to, roll your sleeves up and go down on ground and start
yeah.
helping. So that's what motivated me. And when I joined Indian Cancer Society, we have the organization has been doing fantabulously good work. It's a very Gandhian thought process that exists in Indian Cancer Society, which we don't find nowadays, which is the spirit of volunteerism. People go out of their way to volunteer their time, their money, the effort that they put
Hmm.
in the organization in spreading awareness, reaching out to patients, visiting people in hospitals. The membership to that unit of Indian Cancer Society is only if you are a cancer survivor or a caregiver, because these two are the people who can walk that path. When they're talking something to you, they can empathize with you because they've gone through that journey. And
Yeah.
even patients feel comfortable when they come across someone, because they are, as we said, a beacon of hope.
So, Dr. Priya, you're someone who has worked with patients, survivors, caregivers, and so many people who have seen cancer this up close. And throughout your experiences, what is the value of education about cancer according to you? Why is it important to be aware of the symptoms, cell checks, treatments, and any other things related to cancer?
See, our Indian hospitals cannot take on the onslaught of people who are diagnosed with cancer. The healthcare system cannot handle it because of the sheer volume. And every year, 7 lakh new cases come into the cancer. I mean, the doctors see new cases. Think of the old cases, the ones who've been diagnosed earlier. And you
Recurring.
understand the volume.
Yeah.
And the second sadder thing is most of them report late. And they report late because they're not aware. So, an informed public is going to be the key to cancer control, because we have to create that groundswell within the community. And that can only come when we do a major campaign on awareness and offer screening facilities. Because you can make an individual aware, but if an individual doesn't know where they can go for screening, then it's also an incomplete task. So they should get screened. There should be organizations, supporters who help you screen the healthy population. Find individuals who are high risk, provide them access to services, monitor them, follow them up. Individuals will report early. You can catch the disease in time. It saves the exchequer money, it saves out of pocket expenses for an individual, and it saves lives if
Yeah.
diagnosed early.
I have a friend, doctor, who reached out to me, I think 3, 4 episodes into Tumorously Yours, who said that she didn't want to read about cancer or hear about cancer because it feels a little bit scary, like overwhelming. And so now that she started listening to the podcast because she's my friend, she realized that, oh my God, she needs to at least get checked, like generally I do like a general health checkup. So I would like to ask you, what would you say to anyone who's feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the nature of the fear that this disease kind of builds in the society?
First of all, cancer is a lifestyle disease. 40% of cancers are related to our lifestyle. So
Hmm.
let's start talking about lifestyle and cancer. Then we remove that scare, that cancer is a scary disease, and treat it as a disease. Abhi, there is a lot of hawa around
Yeah,
cancer. Maybe the cost of cancer treatment is generally very high.
yeah.
So it's a societal, it's a disease, it's community, all these things packaged together, and also the publicity, I would say.
I was just going to say, it's also how you read about
Publicity.
it, how you see it
Yeah.
in like movies and shows. It's always something that is too painful and kills the person. I mean, if you think of it, the last 3 movies that had cancer in it, you will think of somebody who went bald and then died. But there are a lot who also make it through.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like no one talks about that diabetes finally kills you,
Exactly.
or a heart disease also kills you if you don't take care.
So when I had visited the ICS office, Dr. Priya, you had a lot of survivors as well who work with you, right, over there, helping other people fight this disease. So I want to ask you, what are some of the learnings you have, had from them and from the other cancer journeys that you've been a part of over the last 11 years?
I have learned it's very important that an individual should be insured.
Hmm.
Putting it in a very cut and dry form,
Hmm.
being aware of cancer and its long-term ramification is very
Hmm.
important.
So you mentioned, Dr. Priya, that you talk about, busting a lot of myths and when, you spread awareness. So from your experience, most, what is the number one myth that people have?
It's transmittable.
Yeah.
It's transmittable. नंबर वन. नंबर टू, अगर बायोप्सी हो गया तो कैंसर फैल जाएगा आपके पूरे शरीर में. बायोप्सी करो तो सारा कीटाणु सेल सारी जगह घूम जाएगा और नो चांस ऑफ सर्वाइव.
Hmm.
Wow.
So then how do you debunk this myth when somebody asks you like, oh, why should I believe you? What do you say?
We explain to them that it's a
Hmm.
cell of yours which has gone out of control, and your cell cannot come out of the body and provide information infection to another person. You are a
Hmm.
self-contained unit, and it's only going to work within you.
Hmm.
So earlier this year, you guys launched the Rise Against Cancer app on the Google Play Store. So can you tell us briefly, what it is about, why you decided to work on this? What were some of the challenges you faced during the development process and how it feels now that it is, out there and what are some of your hopes to achieve with this app?
Okay, Rise Against Cancer, we developed this mobile application taking into account that mobile technology has spread all over the country. When on ground, you get to know that there is still so much of lack of awareness, we thought, why not use the mobile to provide that information? Then we explored various apps and we saw that there were apps on cancer, but they were all in English and Hindi. The
Hmm.
common man does not want English and Hindi. He wants information in his or her local language.
Mm.
So we thought that we will make it a multilingual app, and we will first talk about oral, breast, cervical, and lung cancer because these are the common cancers. And the government of India mandate is also for oral, breast, cervical, and lung cancer because the screening is, you can screen out a large population for these particular cancers and then gradually add more cancers. The aim was that information should move out into the hinterland of the country so that a farmer also sitting in his village can access the phone and get to know his various risk factors and know where to go and what is the second step that he or she should be taking. So we've done a soft launch with all components, regional languages, information around these cancers in audio video format, taking into account a literate population as well as an illiterate population.
Oh.
We got doctors to do the whole trajectory of the cancer, but in 2 to 2 minute videos, with each one video leading into the other.
Okay.
So we start from early diagnosis, early signs and symptoms, till end of life, and what are the things you have to do to get your house into order. Then we looked at using nutrition as medicine. You know, a patient who has lung cancer has different nutritional requirement than someone who has got breast cancer.
Yeah.
But that is never addressed. So we tried to bring that. And what is a pesaretu in South India will
Yeah.
be maybe moong dal chilla in North India. There's a
Yeah.
language difference also. So we should be able to say, na, you can eat a pesaretu, you eat a moong dal chilla. Then we looked at spreading information on financial literacy. When out-of-pocket expenditures are so high, learn financial literacy from day one. We took into account that if you are at end of life, how do you get your house into order? If you go away, who's going to be completely bereft? It's your family. What are the things you have to look into? Then we looked into the mental health. Mental health is also something that of a survivor is going to be different.
Yeah.
For a patient suffering from cancer is going to be different, and his caregiver is also going to be different.
And someone who's lost someone is going to be
It's going to
different.
be different.
Yeah.
And then we want where we want youngsters' help is, as you said, we don't want to make cancer into a scary disease. So we thought, why not add some tarot card reading, your happy quotient for the day? Even with, if you're bald, you can still be stylish. We want to make a little bit of fun around cancer also.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
ICS anyway celebrates something called Survivors Day. Tamanna, you must come for it.
I will. Yeah.
The survivors, they come on an open public platform. They sing, they dance, they do total gadar.
Oh, how lovely.
And a public
Amazing.
platform, and people watch them and they join them along. They join along with them, and it's a very
Oh,
fun type of a day. And maybe
yeah.
people have had cancer, they've gone through that journey, and they've reached a stage where they don't bother what anyone thinks of them. They just have a
100%.
blast.
Yeah, and I feel like this is across ages, Dr. Priya, because
Yeah.
that day I was talking to someone in the gym and she said that the zeal that somebody who survived from cancer to live versus somebody who's not is just so different. She said, my father-in-law has survived cancer and he will just do 15x the things that I do in the day because he wants to live his day to the fullest. And I think that's the thing. It's something that should be celebrated.
Exactly. And I think having an ailment like cancer makes you appreciate life and look
So
at
much
life
more.
in a lovely way.
Yeah.
You know, you
And then
forget
the
all
thing
your
big enough.
moanings and groanings and every day-to-day drudgery, and you
Yeah,
look forward to each single day in a very fun-filled way, positive way.
positive way. I agree. And that energy to spread it through Survivors Day, for example, is great. Those who, God forbid, ever have to see this should see this. And those who are currently going through it also will get hope
Yeah.
from the fact that, okay, see, these people are better. So I'll also get better.
I think it's that saying which you have, right? you never really know what you've got until it's gone. People who go through
Yeah.
the journey of cancer get like a sneak peek at it, and they're like, okay, you know what? This is too valuable. We need to max out on life.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as he said, sneak peek. You
Yeah.
you've got a sneak peek on life altogether. You
Yeah.
and then you realize that, oh my God, all that cribbing, bitching, everything what we've been doing
Doesn't
over
make,
the years, it's not worth it.
yeah. And nothing is big a problem enough, I feel.
Yeah,
Everything is like,
that's the
अच्छा
right
ठीक है,
word.
हो जाएगा, सब हो
Perspective is
जाएगा.
that, right? Yeah. Like these are your
Yeah.
everyday problems, and this was cancer. Like, if I can beat this, this is
I
done.
have to tell you,
Yeah.
I have to
Then,
tell you, Dr. Priya, I went to Spain this year in March
mm,
for my birthday,
mm.
and we did skydiving. And I went with a few friends, so they are all freaking out in that video. And I was like, "Chalo, chalo, kooदते हैं." So one of my relatives asked me, "कि तुम्हें डर वर नहीं लग रहा था क्या?" And I said, जब कैंसर हुआ था तब डर लग रहा था क्योंकि चॉइस नहीं थी ना. And this was a choice I made. So I was like, worst क्या हो जाता, मर जाती ना. और वो भी क्या होता कि स्पेन में स्काई डाइविंग करते करते मरी, बिग डील. Still a happy ending. So then they were laughing, and now that you say it, I realize that I'm comparing everything mentally, like every problem seems smaller because of this.
That's true.
So Dr. Priya, you spoke about mental health. While lots of people don't make it out of cancer, there are also a lot of people who make it out of cancer and are doing fine. But it affects everyone's mental health at different levels, like you said. So, um, I want to ask you, what are some of the techniques or tools that you think have helped people deal with the mental effects of cancer? And whether it's, you can tell me differently for caregivers, survivors, fighters, or if you feel there's certain tools that apply to everything, that also works.
See, from an organizational perspective, we have support groups like Alcoholic Anonymous.
Yeah.
They all sit together,
Yeah.
discuss their problems, and they find the solutions internally only.
Hmm.
There is always a steering person, the psychologist, who sits with them
Hmm.
and kind of, guides the conversations through.
So, Dr. Priya, just to follow up on this, right? So, usually, whenever it comes to joining sort of support groups, a lot of people are scared of being vulnerable, right? Or they have different fears that, I don't want to air out my own problems in public. So, someone who's afraid to just take that last step and, take part in the community aspect of it to support their mental health better, what would you say to, help them join such support groups?
So that's what now, Adnan, we have our volunteers
Hmm.
in Cancer Sayog who suffered it or have been caregivers. They are the ones who are in direct connect with the patients. Once the treatment is finished, they remain in touch with them. And
Okay.
when an individual is ready, then that liaison has already been built. And then they are invited to come and see.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them join up. There are some who are still a little cagey and don't want to join. We give them that freedom. And if you
Hmm.
want a one-to-one session also with a
Hmm.
psychologist, you don't want to air your problems publicly, that
Hmm.
is also arranged for them.
Got it.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Dr. Priya, for coming, for sharing, and for, I think, sending the message out that there are so many people out there helping, like Indian Cancer Society.
That's right.
And we are very, very grateful that you took out the time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Tamanna, and thank you, Adnan. And I do help, and I do hope that you will walk the extra mile with us.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Cancer is surmountable. You have an army of healthcare workers who are looking after you. You're not
Yeah.
alone.